The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. TopperTalk is in the house for the next 30 minutes, sitting on top of Hilltopper Sports World like a bunch of wild stallions. Sean Williams in the house with Shane Bearden and Woody White. We got a full crew tonight, so
we do, but
happy.
I'm feeling left out. I forgot my laptop, and both y'all are sitting there looking at a computer screen.
We like to look important.
I know.
You can look important on your phone. It's all right, man.
I can do a little scrolling on my phone here.
You guys doing all right?
Doing good.
Doing good.
All right. Y'all pumped up for the show?
I'm ready for football season.
Yeah,
I know that.
Football season's just around the corner. They'll start practicing on August 5th, so can't wait for that. And everybody's highly anticipating the football season.
Yep.
In the initial game against the Kentucky Wildcats down in Nashville, so it should be a good game. But we're going to kind of switch gears. We got basketball schedules got released last week.
Basketball? In July?
So, it's all right.
Never too early for basketball.
Hey, yeah, that's right, especially when the official schedule's released. We kind of knew, what teams. We'll start off with the men's team. We kind of knew what opponents would be, but now we have dates and times and everything like that. Not necessarily times for everything, but we got dates. So, tell us, give us your thoughts initially on the men's basketball schedule.
I think it's a good mix of tough competition mixed with some, let's just say, easier wins. But we got a tough 4-game stretch again there with Louisville and Southern Miss, Southern Illinois, and who was the other one in that group? Murray. That's right. So we got a tough 4-game stretch again.
You forgot Brescia in that one.
Brescia's not.
I had to throw that in.
I know.
I'm sorry.
To give them credit, we did have a tough game last year with some lower level competition. We did.
But you're talking about the tough 3-game road stretch, and like I said, it kind of accumulates with the Louisville game. So. That'd be interesting. They got some good stretches here. Of course, right off the gate, they're starting off at Wichita State. So, Final Four participant last year. And, even though Wichita State lost a couple of key players, they come back pretty stacked, too. So, I saw an article on ESPN talking about how they're kind of predicting them to maybe make another Final Four run just because the players that they lost, they're replacing them with some good players, too. So,
I think it helps us out a lot to have 2 Final Four teams on the schedule. I realize they're both on the road, but I've always been of the mentality of anytime, anywhere. Let's just schedule the best teams we can, and let's go.
Yeah, it's regular season, so regular season's about testing yourself. So,
yep. Like you said, there's several games on there that we should be able to do well and get some wins, but then there's still enough good competition level to sort of see where we're at in the college basketball landscape. So I'm pretty excited about it. There's several good games on there, several road trips that are fairly easy to make. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And we got the little 4-game tournament that's not really a tournament with Marshall.
Is there not like a determined winner championship trophy
I don't
that you
think
get
so,
from
no.
winning that? Okay.
But it's just kind of a round robin play with the 4 teams, and we got Marshall, UNC Wilmington.
Played 3 of those at home, right?
Yeah, 3 of them at home.
East
Marshall's
Tennessee.
the only one on the road. The other's East Tennessee and
UNC Wilmington and Sanford.
Sanford,
so we
that's
play
the 4th one. Yep.
in consecutive order, and then we go to Marshall and play them on the 26th of November. So,
and Huntington's an easy road trip. We might as well get some practice now before Conference USA hits. So.
We got some good Twitter interaction right off the bat. Kimberly Shell tweets at us and says, "Who's the dummy wearing blue?" Shane Pale.
It's not that color blue, Kim. It's not
close
that color.
enough, man.
No,
this is
a lot lighter.
This is the second time you've done that, man. You gotta know.
Conference USA's official logo is a light blue. I just want to point that fact out.
We need to get you a Conference USA pin then, and just wear it like a little lapel pin, so you don't make this mistake again. And you gotta know, man. On show days, you gotta go with the red. But
I know. You gotta impress the bosses.
At least go with the alternate gray.
I could have still had my tie on.
You could have.
But
yeah,
I pulled that off for the show.
All right. Well, anyway,
a little more relaxed.
I just want to throw that out there. And by the way, speaking of Twitter, you can always tweet at us at TopperTalk TV if you got any questions or comments about the schedule. And please feel free to tweet us in and give us some predictions. what records do you think the men's team will have this year? Like I said, we've been talking about it on the show. We've got a pretty good stacked lineup. Murray Harper's getting the athletes that he wants to kind of run the style of offense he wants. So, you kind of look at the schedule overall, and, you like to hear people's feedback from Hilltopper Nation to see what you guys think, how the season will turn out and everything like that. So
I'm going to say 24-7 during the regular season.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw that out there
That's
as my
pretty much
prediction.
where my thoughts are at. I like to be optimistic. That's a solid record for where we've been and where we're. I think trying to take that next step. I think that's a good. I think it's a good goal for us. There's some tough road games.
Yeah.
Even our best teams never go undefeated in this conference or whatever. So I'm sure we'll have a few sort of head scratching losses there every now and then. But overall, it looks like a schedule to me where we should do well. I think that 24-7 is probably a pretty legitimate goal to have. And
South Alabama always plays us tough.
Yeah.
You look at Arkansas State; they're probably still going to be a tough team this year. Little Rock, we struggle
Always
down there.
struggle,
Texas Arlington, they're coming from the WAC, but they bring one of the better teams from the WAC coming in. And then you got Georgia State, who's they're probably going to be middle of the pack this year in the Sun Belt, I think. But they're still an okay team.
Sure, it's two teams that really we don't know. I don't know a ton
Yeah, we
about
don't-
them. I know Ryan Harrow from UK is going to Georgia State, and that's probably the only player I could come up with for them. But it's four games that
Somebody was
are.
dogging Harold before the show started.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not putting any expectations for
See, I
him.
told you it
I'm
wasn't
not
this.
gonna get-
I told you this shirt wasn't that kind of blue. I'm just saying.
But yeah, it's weird seeing the Sun Belt schedule and not seeing your North Texases and MTSU's and things like that.
It's going to be a little odd this year.
It's going to be fun. I've said before, I think the Sun Belt farewell tour is going to be pretty exciting for us. I think we're going to have a good chance to do well against that schedule.
With the schedule this year, I honestly think we'll end up. I'm going to go ahead and say I think we'll win the conference regular season and tourney title this year.
What do you see our conference record being?
I'm going to say 15-3.
Okay.
Playing 18-game conference schedule, I'm going to say 15-3.
All right.
Yeah, 14-4, 15-3, somewhere right in there. I would say that'll put us in that number one spot. So
I'm going to say all 3 losses are on the road, too.
Okay.
I don't think we lose a game at Diddle this year.
All right.
I don't think we will. Well, the only one that I think might be tough for us is the Southern Miss game.
Southern Miss will be tough.
They're tough.
They've
tough
had a good team.
They bring back a lot from last year.
Ole Miss, depending
Admiral
on the
size.
Marshall Henderson situation.
Ole Miss,
But,
yeah.
The Diddle crowd being what it is, they always show up for those SEC name schools, so I'm sure we'll have a sold-out crowd for that one.
Well, they'll show up a lot more if Marshall was eligible to play.
I would show up just to watch Marshall play one-on-one with anybody. He might be my favorite player.
See him
of the last
toss up
several
about
years.
25 threes
I
a
love it.
game. and
He's
just
so much fun to watch.
See what happens. He's kind of crazy. So.
I think our fan base is gonna, our
Well, it's gonna
student
be so much
section is
fun.
gonna light into him so much. That'll be fun just to hear that.
So,
Cody, if you're watching, I'm putting you on the spot.
putting people on the spot on the show, man. Come on. But look, kind of break it down a little bit further. We kind of already kind of touched base on it. But as far as like non-conference schedule, I mean, obviously Louisville and Ole Miss may be a tough challenge at Diddle, and of course Wichita State on the road. What other teams you think might give us some trouble? I know we were talking earlier before we kind of.
We always have tight games with Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
Marshall,
a
a 1-point game, I think, last year whenever they came here. So.
And Marshall, Marshall is one of those teams that, every now and then they're good, but they're usually, fairly mediocre, middle of the road. But they've been known to have good games here and there. So, that could be a tough game on the road in Huntington. Murray, I don't know where Murray's going to be at completely this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys
Gonna
about
have to
the Murray
replace.
game.
They're replacing a lot, replacing Isaiah Cannon.
I hear you say he's going to be available, though.
Yeah. but that could be a
He'll
game
be
that
on the
could go
bus,
either way.
unfortunately. But, you talk about the Murray State game. Of course, it's just a 5-point defeat for us last year down at their place. So, I mean, and like I said, Isaiah Cannon's gone, and, a lot of their big guns are gone. So, it'll be an interesting matchup. It always is with Murray State. Never doesn't really matter, who's on the team for either Western or Murray. It seems to be a close game no matter what when they get together. So, I mean, you talk about this Wichita State game. It's all of a sudden become a pretty important game just because they were in the Final Four last year. I mean, what do you think the odds of Western kind of going up there? I know they'll have a exhibition game against Campbellsville to kind of start the season off and kind of knock a little bit of rust off. But going up there to Wichita State, tough place to play. I mean, what do you think
It
the
is.
odds are that Western will pull off the victory up there?
When we played Wichita State in the NIT, my grandparents used to live in Kansas. I was actually out there visiting them when we went to Wichita for that NIT game, and I made the drive down to Wichita and watched the game. And they've got a good basketball atmosphere there. They've got a good crowd. They get loud in there. Their arena is basically, you walk in and it like goes down. It's just a big bowl.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of sound acoustics. When the fans start getting loud. It's a tough atmosphere to play in. I think that could be a big challenge for us early in the year.
If it was a game in February, I would like our odds a little bit better than it being really the first game of the year. Obviously not having Harrison Docks and Tracy Jackson yet. That's going to be who I think are going to be two pretty key players by the end of the season. We'll make it a little tougher, but at the same time, it'll help guys sort of be put on the spot. We may just get to see some Peyton Halsey get some action right off the bat. I'm excited to see, if he gets thrown into the fire.
I believe that'd probably be a given. Just
out of necessity. Yeah. I think really, I mean, those couple games before those two guys get eligible is going to be. I think we'll look at that sort of as we look at last year's schedule when we had that injury time where everybody was hurt and some guys had to step up. I think it may turn into be a good thing. We may have a few losses in there, but some guys will get a lot of valuable playing time that'll pay off down the road.
But aside from those two, I mean, the guys have been putting in a lot of work this summer. I mean, Aaron Adoya has apparently just been shedding pounds and body fat, and
I've heard nothing but good stuff about him.
Getting bulked up. He's on the old Tador Pandov Get Ripped program. He's bulking up, and I've heard all the guys are putting in a lot of work.
I hope so.
And I expect Fant and Price to have big junior seasons. I think Brandon Harris, a lot of people are still underestimating, his contributions to the team. I think he's going to come out and have a good senior campaign. And, then you got Rostov, another year,
holding it down for the tall white people.
Yeah, that's right. Big ups.
Nobody ever talks about him anymore, but I'm really excited to see what kind of role Caden's going to play on this team.
If he can get his shot back, I think he's going to be.
We saw it start to come around a little bit towards the end of the year. So if he can, just stay healthy, and find the minutes where he can, make an impact where he can. I mean, he started playing a lot better defense towards the end of the year. So
you talk about Caden. I mean, he especially during the Kansas game. I mean, I thought he played really well, just coming in playing defense and grabbing rebounds and just doing little things like that. If he gets his shot in order, I mean,
he was coming in guarding Ben McLemore, who was a first-round NBA draft pick, and
shut him down.
Shutting him down.
So. Yeah, it'd be another interesting battle. You kind of brought it up earlier. I think you mentioned it, Woody, but you also have the Tracy Jackson, Chris Harrison Docks scenario where they're coming in, middle of the season when the semester's over and they can play. I mean, what game do you think they'll come in and be available?
Looking at the
Hopefully
schedule,
before the Louisville game.
when the semester ends, it should be the Louisville game being their first game. So
that'd be key right there.
That works out well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what those two can do. For sure. It's hard for me to go back and think of a team that's had this much depth.
Yeah.
At least on paper.
We have a lot of size now, especially adding the big kid from England.
So we haven't mentioned him. We haven't mentioned
Hold it down for the tall white people.
That's right. I got to represent for the tall white guys out here. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, but we haven't mentioned Lawson, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of playing time he'll get.
I mean, we got 3 guys on the roster now that are 6'10" and over. We got several that are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". I mean, I think our size this year.
I haven't mentioned Acaro yet.
Yeah,
you
that's
got
another guy that's been a big contributor.
Yeah.
I think we just got so many bodies to throw at people this year that we haven't necessarily had in the past. As long as those bodies stay healthy,
that would be the key.
Not have another.
Not have another
injury.
Last year, even though it turned out really well. But I mean. It's all about, kind of timing when those injuries, they just happened in the middle of the season and we kind of molded it all together. But you kind of see Harper, he's molding the team together the way he wants it as far as depth, size, athleticism, and everything like that. So
we got Brian Talley saying, he predicts pain for the opposition. 25-10 record for the men's. Not sure about the women's team, but
going Mr. T.
Pain for the opposition is fine as long as we don't have more pain ourselves. Talking about those injuries.
We don't want pain. We want to inflict pain, not receive pain.
Exactly.
So, Okay, so we talk about Jackson and Harrison Docks being pretty much available. We think for the Louisville game. I mean, how do you think that'll turn out? Last year's game, not so well but that was during the injury plagues.
Yeah, we were very short
period of time.
The whole offense was Brandon Harris shooting 25 meters that game. So,
but kind of look at Louisville's team for next year and kind of look at our team as well. I mean, what do you
think
see
it'll
the
be
game
closer
playing
than
out?
last year.
Yeah,
I think so.
They're still bringing back a lot of talent, bringing in some new talent. They're going to be a tough team regardless of where we're at in the season or anything. But I think it'll be a lot closer this year than what it was last year.
Yeah.
Or the year before, for that matter.
Yeah. Like I said, I think Harper's getting the team in the right direction, and I think everybody's excited to see the players play and get out there on the court and compete. So we got the schedule here. It was released Friday, so we wanted to go over it with a fine-tooth comb and keep sending in your predictions for the season for the men's team. And we're going to kind of transition over and talk about the women's schedule, which actually was released last week. So
the women, they have national runner-up Louisville coming to Diddle. That's a big test for them. But Coach Hurd, she turned that team around last year to go from 22 losses to 22 wins. I mean,
and that's the biggest turnaround in Sunbelt history. We've heard that. I'm really excited to see that next step. She's got height in this recruiting class, and it sounds like it's going to be height that can contribute.
Represent for tall white girls.
That's right,
now,
tall white girls. We got that foreign one. Ruda. I mean, she sounds like a player. So
we talked about her on the show.
Yeah, that's right. So I think they're going to have another solid year. They're going to make that next step. We still got Alexis Govan and Chastity, who are all Sunbelt players.
They really didn't lose a whole lot of people.
You don't lose really anything except a few players that transferred out, and it sounds like we've replaced those with players that can contribute and do well. So I'm really excited to see what they can do. Got a lot of good games. Start off with the two exhibitions, and then Austin P and Murray. It's two good local games.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can get some interest out for those. You go to Vandy. I mean, that's some good games off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, a big game with Louisville getting here, who was national runner-up last year. So, of course, Michelle Clark-Hurd has ties to the Louisville program up there, so that always helps to have ties and bring a team like that down to Diddle. We'd like to see the Louisville men's team make it back down here sometime. Rick Pitino, come on, man.
Come on, Pitino.
But, looking at the conference schedule and everything like that, we also talked about how the women are going down to the Puerto Rico Classic to play Belmont, of all people.
Yeah, play Belmont. Right down the road.
Go down to Puerto Rico and
Let's
play
just
Belmont.
go to Puerto Rico.
I mean, not a bad winter vacation trip to make, though.
Not bad. So it looks like they're at least guaranteed to play Belmont and Georgetown. Not sure how that tournament's
I'm not sure
set
how
up.
that'll go
I haven't
after
really
that,
looked into that. But, I mean, where do you guys see the women kind of stacking up as far as conference play is concerned?
I heard quotes, I guess, from a few different coaches on Media Day or whatever that said we're going to be the team to beat on the women's side. Little Rock returns a good bit off a team that's been solid the last few years. So,
but you don't have middle to compete with.
Right, there's no middle.
Side.
So I would think us and Little Rock. I don't know a ton about the two new teams again. 3 new teams, throw Texas State in there, but I think we'll be right there at the top. Competing with Little Rock, hopefully for a championship. I think our girls are gonna be pretty hungry to, like I said, make that next step. So. And Coach Clark Hurd is such a motivator too.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to have them in the right frame of mind to get out and sort of prove a point that, our program's back and we're ready to go into the new conference and compete too when we get there.
Yeah, and as you kind of mentioned it, Shane, I mean, just kind of to see the job she did last year with the kind of depleted roster and turn a 20-plus loss team into a 20-plus win team is pretty amazing. And so, despite the transfers and everything, they've been replaced. She's got size and everything like that.
Because
so
that was our biggest problem last year was they didn't have the size.
Yeah.
Other than Chastity.
She's
down low.
Tallest player at 5'11".
Yeah.
But now you're bringing in 3 girls that are over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that always helps.
One that's 6'4". That's bringing in more size.
Yeah, so it'd be definitely be interesting to see if she's kind of molding the team the way she wants it, and kind of see how well they compete.
We might have to bring back WKU Bachelor for Woody just to.
Dude, we can do it.
You got some tall girls with size out there
I'm a
now.
tall girl. That's the guy that my dad always sits with his season tickets has been trying to get me to date a volleyball player for years.
We're gonna have to sit down and think of a lot of parameters for that.
Yeah, that's
okay.
But we might make that happen on here on TopperTalk. All right, so prediction overall for the women.
I'm gonna say 24-5 regular season.
Okay, that's big time.
I like it. I think another 20-win season is definitely within grasp. Not knowing a ton about the other teams on the schedule, I'll go 23-6.
Okay.
I think they'll go dancing again.
Yeah,
Make it back again this year
I think
too.
we will too.
They
Good.
got both the men's and women's teams in the tournament this year.
That's good.
Neither as a 16 seed. So
Always promising.
Amen.
No more 4 games in 4 days in
That's
the
right.
Sun Belt
Yeah.
tournament. So you're
and
predicting
in New Orleans this year. for
Yeah.
that matter.
I'm excited
No more
about New
Hot
Orleans.
Springs.
No,
I'm gonna miss Hot Springs.
You guys sad about Hot Springs?
No,
not being
I went every year down there.
You know,
We had
I
some
did
good
too,
times.
and Hot Springs was fun, but you know, I'm kind of
New
glad
Orleans, Hot Springs.
So
Yeah.
You're so over Hot Springs now.
Yeah, I'm
It's gonna
over
be
it.
in New Orleans.
We're gonna have to think of another slogan because we can't do the hot hoops in Hot Springs anymore.
I'm sure we'll come up
It
with
served us
something.
well.
Yeah, it served its purpose well, but I'm sure we'll come up with something. We are
Yeah.
creative minds here, so want to appreciate everybody that's hollering at us on Twitter. We'd like to hear some more predictions for the women's and men's basketball teams. Give us some records. Give us where you think they'll end up in the NCAA tournament. Make some bold predictions, man. Somebody
We love bold predictions.
tell us that Western's going to make it to the Final Four. That
It
would
can
be
happen.
huge.
You've
Yeah,
had Wichita State, Butler, George Mason.
exactly.
Why not Western?
The precedent is
Western?
there for sure.
And that's the advantage of
And if anybody can do it as coach, it's Harper.
And that's the advantage of teams like Western and, Butler, Wichita State. You have those players that have been together for a while, and, they played 3 or 4 years of basketball. And, you're going up against
I'm
one
telling
of
you,
Duns.
as good as I think we're going to be this next year, watch out in 2014 when you have George and TJ and all them as seniors. Man, I'm excited about that.
Easy.
All right.
One year at a time,
My
man.
expectations.
One season at a time.
1 year at a time, Mr. Blue
All
Shirt.
right, I'm sorry.
All right, we're going to move on, transition a little bit, talk about some NFL training camp. We've
Hugh
got
Smith.
Quintera Smith is making a lot of noise up at the Broncos camp. Pretty interesting article came out by Peter King of Sports Illustrated, does the Monday Morning Quarterback, who's actually launched a new Monday Morning Quarterback website that got confused with a furniture store website, which is pretty interesting. So, but he had a nice article on Quintera Smith. Visited Broncos camp and pretty much, talking about how much he's shining so far in training camp. And, of course, only 8 months after his ACL surgery. And, he's out there, pretty much going all out. And, Smith kind of said that, should be ready by the time the preseason games start. And also says that his knee's not locking or hurting or anything. And he says he's lucky to feel this good after that long after surgery and everything. So
They said he's been looking good in camp, still showing his speed off the edge, which was one big thing that they liked about him. And he's also showing his strength and not hesitating to make hard cuts and put weight on that knee.
yeah, and another interesting fact is, of course, you have the kind of the looming suspension of Von Miller, and then, of course, the Broncos lost Elvis Demerville on that fax machine snafu by his agent. So, fax machines, man, gotta watch them. But they're kind of talking about how they have a kind of a lack of defensive pass rushers and everything like that, and how they might be leaning on Smith at the beginning of the year to be that main pass rusher. And everybody likes what they see. And another quote that Peter King got from head coach John Fox of the Broncos was that he kind of said whenever they studied Smith's film, they saw him as a first-round draft pick. And he said, you obviously have to take a flyer out on that guy, even though he dropped to the 5th round, obviously because of his ACL injury.
Right.
But, obviously they saw something there in Smith, and I think they were pretty surprised to grab him in the 5th round and see him sitting there, so.
If anybody knows anything about good defensive linemen, it's Fox and Elway and all that. I mean, they brought in when he was at the Carolina Panthers, Julius Peppers.
Yep.
He's brought in some other great defensive linemen into the league. Dumerville.
Yep.
So he's got an eye for the talent on the D line, and if he's talking that highly of Smith, that only speaks to Quinteris' talent.
Yeah, and like I said, he's been doing good things. Says the knee's feeling good. Obviously, in the article too, they said that they're not really going to. Broncos aren't going to try to rush him into anything.
Right.
They want to kind of take it slow. But I think he'll definitely be. Well, I might see probably limited time during the preseason, at least the first couple of games. I think by the time the regular season rolls around, he'll probably be good to go. And it'd be interesting to see. He might be the opening day starter at defensive end by the time opening day starts for NFL. So
I'm excited to get those preseason games underway. You know, we've got a couple different guys that are trying to work their way onto these rosters and stuff too, along with Quan Terrence. You know, Bobby's trying to make the active roster again. You got Jack Doyle trying to make the Titans roster. Preseason's going to be a cool time to be a Western fan just to see how those guys are doing.
And you got Adam Smith down there at
don't
Tampa
mean
Bay.
to forget about him.
I haven't really heard much.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about him either. You talk about Jack Doyle. You know, he had a good OTA session, and I know they said he's been doing really well in training camp down there for the Titans so far. But the thing about the Titans is they're so deep at tight end. You know, they got Craig Stevens, Delaney Walker, and players like that.
I know K1 was getting a lot of reps with the Jaguars because they were down to him as the only quarterback on the roster at the time.
Yeah, well, I heard the Jaguars.
Sorry, Jacksonville.
I heard the Jaguars are having some quarterback problems down there. So, hey, you never know. K1 might be the starting quarterback by the time Week 1 rolls around.
Right now, he's the only quarterback they have.
I hear Blaine Gabbert's not doing very well, and he's snafuing snaps and everything like that, and fumbling snaps from center. So
just taking Tebow when they could.
I know, but hey, whatever.
They can settle with K1 though, I guess.
They can settle with K1. I mean, K1's very athletic, and he had a good season last year. So, you know, it might be one of those stories where he might make his hay in training camp, and he might make a roster spot. That's what training camps are for. So. You know, it's good to see those guys, and like you said, it'd definitely be interesting to follow their progress through the preseason and everything like that. Like I said, I think Doyle making a good enough impression, but I think he'll probably be one where he'll be on the scout team.
Yeah, I think he'll make the practice squad because they're pretty stacked at tight end at the moment. But in all honesty, they don't really have all their tight ends on their roster aren't that great. Receiving tight ends.
They're just kind of veterans.
Yeah, they're veteran tight ends, but they're not that great at receiving it. And you know, Doyle, that's his bread and butter. And you know, one of the biggest things about Doyle going into draft night was everybody talked about. Well, they were unsure about his blocking ability. He needs to get better with holding blocks and you know and stuff like that. But the Titans so far in training camp have said that's been one of his better attributes. Was not only that, but he's been as sure-handed down there as he was when he was on the hill.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's Jack Doyle, man.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
You know he's going to make the catch.
But, it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, maybe fighting for that scout team. But even if he does make the scout team, you never know. Throughout the season, injuries happen. So he might be called up to the regular, 53-man roster.
And, even if he does well in the preseason with those games, he could have another team that tries to snap him away from the Titans.
Yeah. That's what preseason's all about.
I thought about it this morning. I heard where Dennis Pitta's out for the season for Baltimore. I mean, it's the same type player for me,
And he's on the Ravens, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you have Doyle and Ravens.
Just saying.
Never know.
You got that Harbaugh connection.
That's right. Let's get that Harbaugh connection in the NFL, man. Those Harbaughs run deep.
But, I'm excited about, Western having so many players in the professional ranks now. You're going to have more next year with Jackson and Andrews. Probably a couple other guys that are going to impress throughout the season. Dowling will be there.
Dowling as well. Might leave early.
So, you got the NBA with Courtney and Jeremy and AJ Slaughter doing well down in Orlando. You got a bunch of guys still playing, in leagues across the world. So, it's good to see that so many Western athletes continuing.
Claire Donahue in the finals of the 100-meter breaststroke tonight in World Championships. I think that's tonight.
Plug it. Yeah, I think
so.
I don't know. I'm just agreeing with you.
We'll say it's tonight. If it's not, I apologize.
Okay. We'll clarify afterwards. All right, we got less than a minute left, so you guys got anything to add before we get off there?
Don't sleep
our
on
producer,
soccer. Go ahead.
Jordan Basham wants us to know that everything is hot in New Orleans, including Sunbelt hoops.
It's going to be the new catchphrase.
So, yeah, everything's hot in New Orleans.
We'll work on that. It's a good start. So anyway, we are rolling off the air, so we want to thank everybody's interaction tonight, and stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back. Same TopperTalk time, same TopperTalk channel.
Go Tops.
Programming is brought to you in part by Wendy's, featuring their Morning Melt Panini and their Wendy's Artisan Egg Sandwich. Now offering breakfast at 3 locations in Bowling Green: Fairview, Scottsville Road, and Russellville Road.